So I wanted to say this to y'all because you came up like randomly in my Facebook feed the other day. Um, cool, right? I'm like in a podcasting Facebook group for one of the pods that like we connected with on walks or whatever. And they did like a, other than our pod, who are you listening to? And y'all, Psychic Dolphins were like third behind like the Trillbillies and Seriously Wrong.
Hell
I would like to know that you're developing some fan base, I think.
Like, oh man, you should check it out. Like on MySpace, we are huge there, actually. Like, number one.
Listen, I mean, but it wasn't like a small number of people either. It was like a couple hundred.
You hear that?
So listen.
Literally dozens.
Look,
yeah,
I'm telling you, there's something about like just being from the South and actually doing news from the South that makes our opinions better. And
right?
I mean, it's
also
more
like
local,
right?
So it's wrong,
With
but in
there.
a more familiar way. Instead of going like, "Man, this guy's a fucking idiot," the automatic response is like, "Oh, bless their heart." Yeah,
damn.
That's what we're going for.
That's right. That's my very specific hometown. That's what that is. I'd recognize that take anywhere.
Well, it's unique, though, because like when you're from the South, you get to kind of know how multifaceted the South actually is. And it's not all gas stations full of "I did that" stickers plastered all over them. I mean, it is that, but there's also more to it than that, I guess, is kinda my point.
Okay, so I'm going to very gracefully transition us here.
Yeah.
So Jackson, Mississippi, right? Like it's like such a perfect microcosm of this. It's like a 75% black city that just doesn't have running water right now.
Historical. That's what they're trying to do. Bring about historical conditions to the majority black city. But the important thing is that like the news is covering it as a vast wave of previously impoverished or marginalized people are being affected, I would assume, right? It's not a lot of herder,
yes.
Look at these Trump voting Southerners, watch them burn.
I definitely have seen none of that except for this one.
The plantation homes are not without water. That's what I need to emphasize.
Oh,
well, yeah, they're on wells, okay? They all have well water. It's fine.
Nice, slimy, raw water.
Truly. It's such a perfect microcosm of what's wrong with the South, though, right? And like, we were talking about this a little bit earlier today before we were recording, but it's like, what's happening in Jackson is this perfect storm of like climate catastrophe, institutional ecological racism. There's like the blue states that are snidely looking down like, well, that's what you get in a red state. And then there's
and they're not wrong. Like, it is a red state. And like, we do have some like basic issues with how our government functions.
And it's like, really, this one's got everything. It's great. It's perfect. Perfect example of what's wrong down here, including what's wrong outside of here with the way people engage with here.
I just love in the notice, they're saying this is a very different situation from a boil water notice. Until this is fixed, we do not have reliable running water at scale. So they don't have enough water to fight fires, to flush toilets, or to do any other critical things. So it's just great. Like, like when a hose has a kink in it, that's like how the entire city is operating, and the water that's coming out is bad for you. Like,
Well, they were talking about how a lot of it's been pumped in directly from reservoirs just to maintain pressure and shit. So like, yeah, the water is, when it's there, unsafe. Like, you might as well go find a fucking river and just boil that. It's going to be more reliable. Like, and even those are drying up because it's a climate catastrophe. So we're just like,
it's cool. I just imagining a family trying to leave the city because there's no running water, going out into the forest, going into the lake that is now a pond because, again, it's a drought, and then moving past like the weird, 3 or 4 buried bodies that got dumped into the lake 40 years ago that are finally resurfacing just so they can add 3 to 4 chlorine tablets into a Nalgene bottle, so then they have enough water.
Jesus Christ.
So that way then they can drink. God, yeah. It's great. It's great.
Yeah, but it was a complimentary Nalgene bottle. Okay, shout out to our green energy Nalgene helpers out here who are like actually helping people get away from dependency on running water.
I would say just ride the wave.
On running water.
I would say just ride the wave.
On running water.
I would say ride the wave, but there's not enough water to make a wave to ride, so.
How are they going to have a blue wave?
Shirt branding right there. The blue wave is dried up. Just, pin it right there.
Oh my god. Okay.
The blue wave splashing ineffectually on some salt flats.
Psychic Dolphin Garage.
Hey everybody, welcome to another episode from the Psychic Dolphin Garage. I'm Zach, he, they.
I'm Kelton, he, him.
I'm Rachel, they and them.
Hell yeah.
Wonderful. Happy National Matchmaker Day, everyone. What a quaint holiday, huh? National Matchmaker Day.
It's a holiday for your least favorite or most favorite family member who wants to be a matchmaker.
I mean, Game of Thrones is back on the air where, political rival families, they're all vying for things. Everyone's trying to become a matchmaker. Aunts are hooking up with Neff's sons, and it's a wonderful thing. Everyone's a matchmaker is my point. Go check out the subreddits. It's all very fine as long as you have 18 plus community enabled, I think.
Oh god.
Good.
Lovely. What a great theme to
this just
have
in
for our very southern episode, because
another stereotype that we fight off against.
This just in, folks. Kelton's homepage when he opens up his Google Chrome browser is the Wincest subreddit.
I wish I could say that it wasn't, but it fascinates me. Nothing apparently turned on.
It's like pimple popping
20-year-old
videos.
girls in 2013, quite like the idea of two brothers fucking. So.
Yep, and that's why we would go to bars and we would always, Kelson, I always thought of you like a brother, and that's how we pick up girls.
Well, howdy do. It's nice though. I do remember once. This was in the before time when it was socially acceptable to go out to a nightclub while being sick as fuck, and no one giving you too much shit for it. Back in the days of freedom. But I remember Zach and I's voices were just completely shot. And so we legitimately decided to try and do supernatural voices the entire time. And let me tell you, Zach was batting 1,000 that night. Me, not so much. It really proved that it wasn't just the voice. You also have to be attractive in order for the system to work. But by God, did it work.
Yeah, Kelton, why don't you just talk down in your chest?
Look, bro, just talk to her, bro.
Yeah, come on, it's fine.
Just talk to her
Show
in a deep
that
voice,
weird
bro.
angel chest tattoo that you have. It's cool. It's cool.
Wait, do you really?
It goes real well with the Batman snapback T-shirt.
Oof. True.
Show off the traps, the delts, everything else.
What else is a woman looking for in a man except for extraneous muscles?
Money.
Well,
muscles means solid foundation.
It's true. The muscles don't mean much anymore because hey, he might have a Planet Fitness membership, and we don't want any of that.
No, Gold's Gym or whatever they rebranded to, I think, right?
It's still Gold's Gym.
Good. Tradition, the gold standard. That's my
the
gold currency
standard. That's right. Wow, The other thing also very very southern is the libertarians, the southern libertarians.
Well, yeah, because all they care about is just freedom. Freedom and knowing what the legal age of consent is in every state. Don't worry about it. It's research. It's trivia.
Hear me out, though.
Okay.
Left libertarianism is a way easier sell to Southern conservatives than like anything else, including liberalism, including like right-wing shit, actually, because they generally think that the church is bad, right? So you find somebody who's like in that stage of apostasy, you just point out that like, hey, you know how the state sucks? Your boss, agent of the state. And it's like, you can see their eyes like become saucers, and like God has entered their body again, and they like finally have hope, and they realize that like we all hate their boss, and maybe they should become a communist. And it can be done. I've seen it happen so many times down here.
Counterpoint, I've seen too many times someone's mind get open like that, and then instead of going like, oh wow, yes, there is a small group of people that controls everything, and they go, yeah, huh? Yeah, brother. Let me tell you about it. It goes real south real fast, especially in the South.
Oh boy. I mean, yeah, like they're either going to blame capitalism or the Jews. But if you can get there in time, you can make it be capitalism.
That's true.
Even then, you don't give up. You're like, but what do you not like about the Jews?
I mean, listen,
that they're really capitalist, right? Yeah, okay. Let's explore.
This is the crux of it. You don't like that the Jews are bankers who control the money. Well, first, as a Jew, when do I get mine? And second of all, what if
your bank, of course, yes,
the bankers and the CEOs?
See that I think we can get in. We'll just start with hatred of Zuckerberg and work our way out. There, I think real
Solid.
Distrust as he keeps on displacing people in Hawaii. Is he still on that, by the way?
What? I missed this arc of his villain history.
Oh, there are native peoples who've been on small islands in Hawaii for generations and generations, and he is just buying up the land and forcing them out. It's
great.
It's monster. Like, it is legit supervillain activity.
Love that for him.
What's happening? But again, I don't mean to get us too sidetracked into what the coastal of the coastal of the coastal elites are doing. Can I call Hawaii coastal elites? Does that work?
I mean, at some point, like, you just go there. You just have your own island, and Hawaii is just like, where you say it's really nice to vacation.
So when you think about it, the more coast you have, the more elite you are, right? Mm-hmm. And a circle has the biggest diameter of all. So if you're on an island, arguably you are the most elite because you do control the most coast. As long as it's also the biggest island.
I'm hearing the Patsock argument right now for why us colonizing Hawaii was good, actually.
Yeah. We needed to control as much coast as possible.
Dismantle royalty is the,
yeah. Wait till we do Australia.
Democracy to Hawaii.
We're gonna have so much coast once we annex Australia.
Oh my god. That is logically where we would end up at, isn't it?
I would take it. Just displaced Southerners moving to Australia.
It's not that different, though.
No,
culturally so
really.
Similar.
They're going to be like, hold on, we've seen this one before. We know what happens.
Everybody from Savannah, like, y'all were a penal colony? We were a penal colony.
Aww.
We have so much in common. Are we cousins?
Let's be real careful.
Sex about it.
Wanna have sex about it? Yes, perfect. I'm glad we have so much.
Real fast.
Yeah, we have so much in common with Australia now, and this just goes to prove it.
Anyways, okay. Again, we're supposed to be talking about like what's gone on this week, and I think talking and ragging about Australia is much more enjoyable than what I found out because I moved, as people know, from Houston to the DFW, Dallas-Fort Worth area, and pretty much ever since I've moved up here, it has been nonstop news about how there are just fascists who are protesting outside of drag shows the entire time.
Yeah.
And it's pretty wild to see because I would think that if we're going to be criticizing a group of people who enjoy going and dressing up in certain outfits and doing incredibly performative demonstrating over and over again, that maybe we're not so different, the two groups. Maybe they're serving something. It's something fierce. It's serving fealty.
I mean,
think
listen,
is what it might be.
They're all packing.
That's true. There's a tucking joke in there, but I'm not going to do that.
Fucking is when it's concealed.
The conceal carry edition.
Honestly, this is a good idea. We should just start referring to guns using like specifically drag terminology. Just dragify guns.
If there's one person who can, it's Fracking King RuPaul. So I
believe in you,
really
RuPaul.
Look forward.
I know you already pulled the ladder up behind you, RuPaul, but listen, this is a good bit, RuPaul.
Those VH1 seasons can't keep churning out forever, RuPaul.
Oh, man.
Yeah, it's just weird to see this coverage of people talking about, oh, well, we need to protect the children. We need to make sure that this sexualized thing doesn't happen and take place here. Can't believe that they're forcing kids to be exposed to this.
Yeah.
And, like, it's a drag brunch for people 21 and up. And then the only people that were there were people with, like, young children because they're families.
And they still want to go to the drag brunch. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, exactly. And I just feel like, again, if you're, and it feels so weird to be like, hey, you know what, conservatives, it seems a little hypocritical. So I'm going to kind of avoid that 5-6 minute tangent. Then I feel like we could all go down and have fun, and instead jump to the main conclusion point, which seems to be that this is their new ticket. Like, this is what they're drumming up, at least in Texas, as being like a hot button issue. You know, the teachers are all teaching CRT. Every IPA bar is now becoming a drag show. Like, what happened to the good old America of old, where you drank a 12-pack at home in front of a flat screen TV, and all the teachers just physically abused their children the entire time? Huh? The good old days.
I mean, if you're not hitting the kids, how will they know you love them?
That's what you get for not knowing how to read. I'm going to keep hitting you until suddenly the literacy rates go up.
Literally beat the alphabet into you.
Spell where the bruises are.
You know, the funny thing to me about like the drag thing is like drag is so much closer to clowning than it is to sex. Or even to gender, right? Like, drag is a type of clowning. And it's so wild to me. Like, and I mean part of it is that these people are like
clowns.
Well, and they're like mirthless and incapable of joy, except in the case of rodeo where animals are being abused, right? Like,
that's true. You know, that is the one difference. We aren't abusing animals at drag shows.
Yeah, they can't.
Or blurring the lines about breeding, you know.
Just like,
yeah, wow, what a bull, son. Look at those testicles on him. They're massive, just like mine.
I spend too much time on porn.
I do like the idea of like an incredibly country backwoods dad and an incredibly terminally online son that just goes shadow-faced at this first 4-H event because he's watched Mr. Hands on loop for the past 2.5 hours.
I was talking about cuckoldry, but
okay.
Mr. Hands works too.
I take a more literal interpretation. I'm sorry. But I again, it's not, if it's not on the Wincest subreddit in some way, you know, I'm not
the Wincest family of products.
Wincest family of products. Oh my God, you have a whole ass membership.
It's a Patreon.
It's actually, we refer to it as a Costco card. So, yeah. Let's get into a roundup of some other news, because it's not just Texas that sucks. Other states do too, like Mississippi, like we mentioned before. But also Nebraska, where a Catholic charity hired a man to simulate a mass shooting at their building. Huh? What could possibly go wrong with that? Especially when only 2 people in the building knew about the active shooter drill. So when the guy arrived in a black hoodie with a mask firing blanks as actors, he paid actual crisis actors to get fall over and to start spurting out blood laying across the floor, just traumatizing these employees. It ended, of course, with his arrest for terroristic threats.
Yeah,
because no one knew. He didn't announce to the police what was happening. None of that. They just thought that it was a real active shooter situation. Real people were calling 911. There was one old lady who said, was quoted as saying, "This is it. This is the end. This is how I go." Which,
so like,
he said he was professional. God damn it.
So like, even putting aside the fact that it's a Catholic church, like they've got to be Republican, right? Like,
well,
only. Even if they weren't Catholic, only Republicans go this hard on overreacting to a crisis that they also manufactured.
Well, again, those actors, they had a fully booked day because they had to do this in the morning and then an abortion protest in the afternoon.
Yeah, and then that night there was a drag show they had to go harass. Like, they're tired. The reason they decided to play dead was just because they needed the nap.
Abortion drag show sounds like a hell of a concept also, by the way. 10 out of 10 would recommend. I just can't imagine why a Catholic charity would feel the need to try and have their employees like be ready. Like, this feels like a sketch or something that just came to life, of where no one knew that it was just a drill because they saw people getting shot and blood coming out of them. I mean, it just, again, seems weird. Also, I guess it seems weird if it's like, "Hi, I'm Greg, the new guy. Anyway, I'm going to be sitting over here." Then, guy walks in. "Oh, no," pop, 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 pop sound. Like, "Greg, I just met you. Oh, you were so young, so full of life."
It's so comic how fucking stupid that this is not, like, surely there are companies that do preparedness training for this, but this was some fucking Jimmy down the street bullshit.
Truly.
They're also lucky no employee had a real gun.
Yeah, I was about to say that. Thank God there was no good guy with a gun.
Can you imagine?
Inadvertently do homicide. Like,
then those actors don't know what to do. Do they stay lying down? Do they start running? What?
All of a sudden, Columbo is there, and he's just like staring incredulously at the fake blood.
God, this is the worst.
It's the best story. Like, this is a good old-fashioned, absolutely insane story. Like, there's really nothing at play other than shitty boss has a dumb idea and $2,500 extra in the budget. And it's like, all right, I know what I'm doing. Time to go fuck up Martha's Day. She's been talking about retiring. Let's see if the old bird will actually go.
God, Jesus.
This boss was really fired up about how HR wouldn't allow him to fire all the quiet quitters. So he found a way. There was a will, and there was a way after all.
Quiet quitters, more like active shooter.
I can't imagine wanting to go there and sit down, like, not even 12 hours after it's occurred. Because, I mean, do you think this happened on a Friday? Do you think they had the weekend to ruminate on this?
This is the worst Friday ever. He didn't even, he sure did cut their day short.
We were going to throw a pizza party for everyone afterwards.
Oh, God. Fuck off.
It's also fun to know that since this was a charity, this was funded, of course, by, again, incredibly religious, devout people who were tithing 10% of the money that they probably couldn't afford, so that way they could do this, which is just insane to think about.
It's so funny, honestly, truly. Like,
again, Jimmy from down the street got access to like some blood packs from the local theater, and ordered a bunch of blanks online, and is just fucking yeehawing his way through a fucking charity building, like
armed with, again, 4 packets of fake blood and just a legion full of church musical actors.
I'm so curious how he got connected with this church in the first place. Like, this is the Columbo story I want, is like, who hired this guy? How did they meet him? It has to be nepotism. There's no way. Like, there's no way nepotism is not involved here. I mean, like, yes, he is a white guy's white guy. I'm looking at a picture of him right now and his like mug shot, and he's the whitest of white guys. He's got blue eyes and everything, and his face is like really small for his head. Like, it's very condensed. I don't know what's going on there, but it is like noteworthy that he's got a very small face. Or like a really large
hockey mask on an adult size
like
body.
Kind of, yeah. He looks like an emoji. Anyway, so like he just shows up, and like you were saying, yeehaw his way through it, like just trying to like, I guess, wing it through an active shooter drill.
I mean, no,
live out his snuff fantasies. I don't know, like,
no, he's
commit suicide by Catholic Church.
Oh God. He's doing his actual best. He is going all out to make it a real drill. Like, you don't expect it. You see blood and people just like falling down all over the place. Like, he is certainly, someone is certainly stopped carrying a gun, and someone has started carrying a gun since this.
Martha is packing now.
Martha is now packing, okay?
I'm not ready to meet my demons yet.
She's not going to ask if it's a drill next time. She's just going to fucking blast.
Martha's going to come into work the next day looking like a member of the Boondock Saints. Just Aquatas Veritas.
Cigarette hanging out of her mouth.
Exactly.
Oh, man.
Zach, what's your story?
Keeping us in the church theme, in Houston's Second Baptist Church pastor is facing some criticism. Pastor Ed Young called the bond issue in Harris County a possible result of, quote, left-wing progressives in office. And he has a new sermon series on what he's calling The Church Awake, described on their website as a way to learn how a church awake to the biblical truth can overcome a woke culture.
God, and see, this is what churches are doing now. Like, they're taking the word woke and they're using the awake terminology. Like, and it's weird because it's also dog whistling to the Great Awakening. That it was like Q levels of rhetoric. And so it just kind of seemed like this Ouroboros, because the Great Awakening was a religious reference at the beginning. And so it's all just kind of feeding in onto itself. Again, it's very nice to see that Second Baptist Church is doing this, because First Baptist Church clearly passed. They're like, no, we can't. We're the flagship as the main Baptist Church of Houston. We can do this. But the Second Baptist Church, they're grittier, they work harder, they take bigger swings on things, and they're willing to talk about the bond issues that affect their congregation. All those things that left-wing progressives in the Houston area are talking about, the bond issues.
Yeah, definitely. Oh,
have them hang out with a leftist on Twitter in Houston, and they're gonna be like, all they care about is canceling each other online, and talking about Cindy Sweetie or whatever the fuck that actress's name is. Talking about that for like 14 hours. The bond issue never came up once. I have a feeling we'll be fine. We're gonna win this referendum hands down.
Fuck it. Yeah. Who is Has, and why do leftists care about Has? I thought we were gonna talk about the bond issue. We're all poisoned by the people that we watch on YouTube, not whatever shitty decision our local representative has made about what to do with our tax dollars. Okay,
And don't get me wrong, we absolutely should be more concerned about the bond issue. Like, this should be the kind of thing that we want to actually go in on. But instead, we don't focus on that. But it's okay because the Second Baptist Church and the congregation is too busy trying to talk about the general dynamic of fear-mongering, right? Because what did he say about Houston?
Oh, yeah. Houston, in all probability right now, is the most dangerous city in America to live in.
I love that.
Like, he starts quoting fucking, like, the police bullshit. Probably the shit from 2021 where they were really pushing, like, oh, crime is rising so fast. It was actually literally all fabricated. Just like repeating that, it's already dated. Like Ed Young is ready to kick the bucket any moment. He's full boomer. He's using just dated police propaganda to try and convince his flock to put some more money into that fucking into the tithing bowl.
And all I have to say is, to anyone listening, I don't mean to encourage negative action here, but you know that these churches have service times. You know where the congregation will be, at least for an hour. You know probably what kinds of vehicles these people are driving, and you know how much you can probably sell a catalytic converter for. So if you do the math...
Listen.
Put a little into the offering plate, you know what I mean? And see what bounty the Lord will reward you with.
Hey,
I'm
look,
just saying.
I'm pretty sure the guy that was running that catalytic converter ring probably is in the congregation, okay? He had a fucking, like, lake house on Tahoe.
Yeah, I just keep seeing him. He's haranguing about a wide awake church. And I'm just saying, if you want your church and your parishioners to be wide the fuck awake, I got this guy up in Nebraska named Channels for you. And as I understand it, he will wake them right the fuck up. They will be the most awake they've ever been in their fucking lives.
I also, again, I think it's wonderful because I also wonder that maybe by calling his sermon series The Church Awake, if he's also criticizing his congregation. I mean, like, I know you're all old. You're all halfway falling asleep in my sermons. You know who's not falling asleep? All the young kids these days, all the woke kids. They're paying attention every day to all their VTube streamers right now. Giving Hassan V-Bucks or whatever is happening.
I like the bastardization of VTubing and V-Bucks. I like that those. You're right. You're absolutely spot on that those are the two things that we're gonna hear about endlessly now. So thank you,
Dr. Ed Young. Do a Fortnite dance challenge. Come on, let's go.
Ed Young NFT when. You can buy it with the V-Bucks.
You can have your own Baptist church in your heart. It'll be the 3rd, it'll be the 500th, and they're all NFTs. They're all one, but they're all different.
Just a series of Baptist churches, but the colors are swapped.
That's why it's First Baptist, Second Baptist, Third Baptist, Fourth Baptist.
Exactly.
The 69th Baptist Church. Oh yeah. The 420th Baptist Church. Oh yeah. Why did
those are
these sell out
particularly
first?
Expensive.
Yeah. Why are these the most valuable? I thought it would be the first one. I know nothing about internet culture. The 1,400 and you know what? Never mind. Okay. Moving on to our next story here. Another story in Texas. Texas is banning 10 large banks and over 300 investment funds because they boycotted fossil fuel-based energy companies, and that was deemed as critical to the state's economy. So, in case anyone kind of is wondering, the Republican state of Texas, the one that champions small government, is banishing companies from doing business within the state since they are disagreeing with their political ideology. They're canceling them. They are trying to stop this, and their reasoning is that Texas citizens will gladly pay the hundreds of millions of dollars of extra fees to essentially roll coal to own the libs in a financial way. And this is absolute derangement that I want to make fun of. But by doing this, they are also then banning BlackRock from operating in Texas. So critical
clocks,
support, I guess, for this idea. I'm not sure. I'm very conflicted about this.
So businesses can't do what they want. They're regulating businesses
because the government is literally telling businesses that they cannot operate.
Rocks. They're telling them to kick rocks.
Kick black rocks.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, they're not like banning banks because they, have terrible practices or, they participate in what is essentially segregation, modern day segregation. They're not, they're not like supporting these entities. I just can't wrap my head around the idea that like they talk so much about how like literally during the freeze and during these heat waves, they've been like, oh yeah, our biggest savior has been our wind and solar energy. And then now they're like, yeah, but by the way, if you made any public statement that said that you support wind and solar, you can't be here.
Man.
Well, yeah, that's just because they're un-American,
So
they need companies that align with the Texas values that exist in this great state. Zach,
if you don't
come on now,
if you don't bathe in 10W30, then you are not allowed to run for office in Texas. You have to strip down in front of all the senators. That's right.
Now listen, I don't care.
You have to wait.
You have to strip down in front of all the senators and bathe in 10W30. Do it.
Listen, I don't care if you're a black rock, a white rock, a purple rock, a polka dotted rock. If you don't support oil and gas industries in Texas, you can't stay.
How are we supposed to fight terrorism in the Middle East if we can't even drill our own oil at home?
That's what I'm saying. Mm-hmm. Actually, there was one line in this article that y'all sent me to like prep me for this that I wanted to quote directly because it's amazing. And quote, banks that Texas put on notice earlier this year went to great lengths to show that they are, in fact, investing tens of millions in the fossil fuel industry, but some failed to convince the state.
Yeah, they were just, like,
woo!
Again, Texas's attitude is everyone should be investing at least $300 million into fossil fuels. So that means no one is actually investing money into fossil fuels. What, in addition to the $300 million, are you investing in fossil fuels? And those companies said, no, we're doing other things. We're spending $5 million on solar. And they said, fuck you. Get out of here, you SJW cuck. I can't believe it.
It's so fucking self-defeating.
It really is.
We're so fucked as a state.
Just wait 15 years. Legitimately wait until all these privatized solar grids start to take over the state, and then Texas is going to flip, and it's no longer going to become about like, oh man, think of all the roughnecks that are working over in Midland. It's going to be, check out everything, the plains of Odessa, which I get is right by it, but that's kind of my point.
I almost do wish that like libertarian. I hate that I have to say this. I almost do wish that libertarian Bitcoin mine owners that run it off of renewable energy would take over the state and the power grid, because
I got good news for you.
They are.
Campaign contributions are about to become done entirely with Bored Ape NFTs.
Oh, yeah. Hey, well, you know what? The only thing that Texas has contributed to this campaign season so far is being the state with the first U.S. death linked to monkeypox.
Fuck yeah. Let's
Number
go.
1, baby.
Oh, yeah, New York might have gotten it first, but guess who's dying first? That's right.
That's right. You think that we drink Big Red and Dr. Pepper for no reason? Look, we gotta pump those numbers up, and we gotta pump that oil out the ground, okay?
A Brooklyn chain smoker can probably fight off monkeypox no problem. But guess what? A Texas diabetic, it runs through him like a hot knife through butter, brother.
Black gold, guys.
That's actually what they call the ooze that comes out from the monkeypox.
I meant the carbonated beverages, the Coca-Colas, the Dr. Peppers. The Pepsis. Are y'all okay? This is important.
All of our Cokes, yes.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah,
I needed to, I was gonna be really concerned if any state in the South was a Pepsi state, but Texas is like, y'all are kind of your own thing. And
I mean, it's probably like Kentucky is like a Pepsi state.
No.
Kentucky tries to claim to be a southern state, but they're really not. They're southern Ohio at best.
Exactly, yes.
Rude.
I could see Tennessee probably also.
Yeah.
No,
Missouri-
fuck no. Tennessee, definitely not.
It's too, like Nashville is.
Ew. If there is a Pepsi state in the South, and I'm using the term South generously here, it's Florida.
Florida? Okay, yeah. I can see
that's
that.
just metastasized New York.
Diet Pepsi, though, because of all the snowbirds that have come in.
That's what I'm
Exactly.
saying. Yeah, metastasized New York.
Come on, Ron DeSantis. You're our only hope. Nationalize Coke in your state. That's the one policy I will get behind.
Look, Texas really passed up an opportunity to nationalize Dr. Pepper and actually like just do state backing for the Dr. Pepper facilities in Texas.
Yeah,
You
now
know?
we have to also back 7-Up and Snapple if we wanted to do that. So no, thank you. Texas. Imagine what like Texas Snapple would be, Zach. The horrible things. It would be like you open a Snapple and then the fact on the inside would be like, the freer the market, the freer the people.
Did you know that in 2019 only 2% of Americans owned Bitcoin, but in 2020 that number jumped to 10%.
That's a lot better than my initial idea, because I thought it was going to be the crack open the Snapple and it's like, despite only making up 13% of the population. Read the back of the label for more information.
Oh,
It's just a manuscript. Yeah.
Yeah, honestly, that's not a bad idea though.
Racist
Woke Snapple when?
Yeah, Houston First Baptist Church is gonna have to pull all the Snapple from their cafeteria.
Woke. It's getting woke. Teaching with facts and logic. That's
Despite
gonna be
being 4 times less likely to actually be carrying drugs, Black people are 8 times more likely to be searched for drugs by the police. Woke Snapple.
And that's why Texas has legalized marijuana.
Yeah.
Man.
Yeah, hell yeah, brother. It's not so that way then we can tax it, because ultimately it all boils down to money. We're getting there, though. Come on.
It would be a great world. You see, there's so many good... You can do, like, literally, like, 2 good things as, like, a weirdo Texas libertarian, and it makes you so much better than the fucking degenerate, like, vampires that we have in office. So it's not hard to be good in Texas. We've lowered the bar is literally the floor. And you can be Beto O'Rourke, and we're still just like, that's our boy. He's gonna do it.
Honestly, Beto O'Rourke is still cooler than John Ossoff, though.
I mean, it's fine. It's fine. You haven't had to endure the O'Rourkeazance that has just stayed in perpetual Texas living blue in TX circles for like the past 6 years. It has been insufferable.
Yeah, I guess the one good thing about John Ossoff being some like actual nobody that the Democratic Party plucked from oblivion to win an election with is that like nobody talks about him.
Yeah. He knew when to just shut the fuck up.
He didn't try to run for president and then governor. You know? Good on him for that.
Maybe next he'll just like try to get on the board of BlackRock. Who knows? Big dreams. Texas is bigger in Texas, etc., etc. You got to dream big.
If BlackRock money is what turns Texas blue, I'm just
they're gonna do it out of spite.
Cry. Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, honestly, they could though. That's the thing. BlackRock could just fucking buy Texas. So maybe that's what it's about.
The war horse gift in the mouth.
Zach will find a way to profit off Texas no matter what.
What is up, beautiful people? It's Zach, and I'm coming to you live from the garage. I wanted to tell you all a secret to improving your deadlift and squat max. The secret is subscribing to our Patreon, like these aesthetic and strong listeners. Scott, Tim, the Warlock Phosphorus, Jorge, Rufus Not a Mole Rat, Eli, Malwin, Dr. Sophia, Tyler, Olive, Lotion Wizard, Lizzie, the Brilliant Dr. Fly, Broobs, ASM Marxist, Dylan, Kiera, Cody, Comrade Kometka, Nicole, Pizza Poss, Drew, CJ, Jacob, Philip, and Alex. Thank you all so much for contributing to the garage, and congrats on your gains.
Well, we got a big story this week. It's a fun look back at our wonderful state. I really enjoy these Texas-focused things because I feel like it's a certain kind of insanity that takes over. And there's no better example than the Texas Central High-Speed Railway plans that have been just trying to get up off the ground for the past decade or so. Because new headlines came out that the leadership board of this company has done a mass exodus away because they're failing to acquire land. And that has, of course, made our good friends over at the Texas Tribune look back at the insanity of the decade that was. Yeah. Now, Rachel, over where you are, what's the reputation on Hyperloop or Hypertrain or high-speed railways? What's the vibe like?
Atlanta originated as a hub for trains.
Okay.
This is like the reason. To this day. Yes, freight trains.
Well,
where the money is. So in Atlanta, trains are like a complete non-starter, and it drives me crazy because I want them so badly, because we are like maybe the second worst city in the country for traffic behind LA. Like amazingly bad traffic in Atlanta. And that's in spite of having trains and train lines over every square inch of the fucking city. Like it's infuriating.
That really does seem like a major slap in the face.
It is the most red state shit. Yes. Sitting in rush hour waiting for a freight train which has blocked the road and made you late to work. Actual real life things that happen here. Like it's just
sorry, I have to deliver these Amazon packages this way. I can't carry people.
Like we are going to have like public helicopters before we have public transit in this fucking nightmare hellscape of a state. It's not happening.
I don't wish for public helicopters.
No, I don't want this either. I'm just thinking like what's the least cost effective and also least safe way of doing this, because that's going to happen first.
The answer is giant catapult.
Okay, good point.
Giant inflatable hamster ball.
Those are good options.
I wasn't dreaming big enough. I got to rely on Texas to help me out here.
I do want to go out like Kobe, for the record.
We utilize all of our sports stadiums like giant gloves.
So hear me out, guys. It's like baseball. Like if you did baseball, but with a trebuchet.
What happened? Well, we have taken out every bird in our state due to mass transit.
Well, they're not endangered anymore. Oh, because your programs helped restore their habitats. Oh, no.
We've eliminated. It's like that quote being like, how do I plan to eliminate childhood poverty? By eliminating children, of course.
Yeah. The catapults have never been safer to ride now that the birds are gone.
I just want to let people know about this high-speed railway. What was pitched?
This isn't the one that we're definitely getting from Houston to Dallas, right? Like the most traveled route in the entire United States.
Well, Zach, what if I were to tell you it was for that one? And we were going to be able to go from the heart of downtown Houston to the heart of downtown Dallas in 90 minutes is what was being advertised.
It's a 4.5 hour drive, and it is the most driven section of highway in the state.
The flattest, easiest. I believe there was even a quote from someone, like a Stanford analyst, scientist. I hate to give credit to fancy college boys, but his
engineer,
quote,
God forbid.
His quote was, "If we can't make it work for this stretch, the rest of the country has no hope." Just because it is so flat and it is so easy to try and build a straight shot line, basically. And the reason it stalled out was, despite raising hundreds of millions of dollars for construction, there became a series of lawsuits over trying to buy the land needed to lay down the tracks, of where property owners did not want to give it up, and private equity firms were wanting to just buy up this land for this project. It even went to the state Supreme Court, where on the matter, the Supreme Court ruled in a watershed victory for this company that Texas Central can use eminent domain for the high-profile project. But the way it's phrased now means that private companies can utilize government eminent domain to take over people's homes.
What can
which
go
I'm
wrong?
sure is a precedent that won't get abused for any other projects in the state of Texas whatsoever.
You know, this seems, from just a capitalist perspective, like the worst possible time to be alienating BlackRock.
Like who is gonna
buy up the entire stretch of land between Houston and Dallas, and then also every neighborhood along the way, if not BlackRock?
I mean, Texas DOT already literally owns 45, and they have, like, the DOT can just, like, expand their easement for 45 all the way up if they really fucking wanted to.
They absolutely could, Zach. And what if I were to tell you that at a certain point in time, if we had just pulled the trigger on it at the beginning, it would have cost about $10 billion. That's with a B. Or to put it in terms other people might understand, the Denver Broncos, the football team, were purchased for $45 billion. So
don't say things.
For one quarter of a NFL football team, we could have had this high-speed railway be constructed a decade ago. But now it's going to cost about $30 billion, which is still a lot. But my counter argument is still less than one NFL football team, which I think if we're using that as the standard of whether or not we should pursue a project like this, I think it's a pretty good line.
Are you telling me that if we just taxed Janice McNair, the Houston Texans NFL owner, that we could just have a high-speed railway?
I mean, I'm telling you, we could probably do some other things to the McNair family. Parody, non-actionable.
So, like, what? God. What would you have to... Not even... Let's just say gross. What would you have to gross annually for a franchise to be valued at $45 billion?
I don't know, but the interesting point is that the NFL players are still locked into whatever their previously agreed union Players Association deal is. So things are about to explode in the NFL, but that's neither here nor there. My counter proposal was, the more I think about it, what if we did have the Houston Texans get involved and the Dallas Cowboys get involved? You just have branded high-speed rail lines.
Each train is the name of a different player. Like, it's not that fucking hard. Look, they can sell jerseys for $129 each on the NFL store, okay?
Honestly,
and there's one for each one of them. If they just like made it so that, you know, you get a raffle chance every time you take the train, you get a chance to get season tickets.
Imagine having a designated driver. Forget downtown Dallas to downtown Houston. Just have it be from NRG Stadium to Cowboy Stadium instead.
In 90 minutes, you could watch the Texans game that starts at noon, and then you could make it to fucking 5 p.m.
This game is a blowout. I'm going to dip. I'm going to go catch the Cowboys game.
So like y'all are fucking around here, but like Mercedes-Benz did manage to single-handedly gentrify like an entire quadrant of Atlanta just by building a stadium and like a whole little like economic district around it.
Stadiums are insane, like insane tools.
They're city
of gentrification.
States.
Yeah, they're city states.
They're modern day castles. How
much do they cost? They cost like multiple billions of dollars.
Vatican City ass.
Zach, come on now. I want you to do me a favor. Look up what the LA Rams stadium cost. Just go ahead. Look up.
I'm going to look up Mercedes-Benz while you do
a couple
this.
billion.
$5 billion.
Yeah.
It's just a couple billion. It's a couple billion for an entertainment destination.
All right, now you're starting to buy their PR, calling it an entertainment destination.
sorry.
Calm down on
oh man, the one in Atlanta was only 1.6 billion.
Yeah.
They thrifty.
How much does a fucking Schlitterbahn cost to build?
You know.
Now we're getting to the real heart of the issue.
What we're gonna do is we're gonna build a series of stadiums along the path of the train, because each one of those is only another billion.
Yeah, high school football stadiums.
Yes.
And we got our answer.
Okay,
the
Texas high school football stadiums are fucking ridiculous. If you just go to like the 6 biggest football stadiums in and around Houston, like that's a loop in and of itself. That's the fourth loop, baby. I think Atlanta only has 1 loop, right? I don't know why the traffic is so bad there. We have filled literally 3 of those with people.
It's real cute what y'all are doing. We had 610, and they're like, "There's no way we're gonna fill up 610." Oh God, we filled up 610. Beltway 8. Oh God, we filled up Beltway 8.
99.
All right. Yeah, the Texas Grand Parkway. No one will extend beyond. Oh Jesus Christ!
There's so many neighborhoods already, and Grand Parkway is already a fucking nightmare on the
new
on the west
highway
side.
loop going from Huntsville all the way to Galveston. We're not fucking around this time.
Oh God, Mega City 1, please. Mega City 1.
That's
call
what
us
Houston
Mega
is
City
going
1.
for. Absolutely.
We're gonna have multiple. As soon as we get the outer loop that hits Conroe, at least, then it's over. Because then Woodlands gets to be inside of a loop.
Yeah, I mean, Woodlands is already. This is real inside baseball for Houston residents here, but the Woodlands is already starting to gentrify a new area that they're calling Woodlands North because they're getting so mad that there are too many Indian engineers and their families like moving into the Woodlands, and they're being like, "Oh, listen, I enjoy certain aspects of Indo-European culture, but it's the European part, if you know what I mean, not the other part."
Yeah. All these people move to the Woodlands because they work at like HP and Cisco and who else is in Houston still?
Exxon
Mobil. All they're engineers for these companies. They live in the Woodlands and they drive in like 2 days a week. You know, they drive into the city 2 days a week to go to their fucking fancy corner office.
And now the offices are going to be located in the Woodlands, and then they're going to be commuting in to there from even further out. So it's a wonderful system that we got going on here. But
what, white flight?
Yeah.
No. What? No.
What?
We would never.
Listen.
White would bring race
Once you
into
let
this,
the Indo-Europeans in, next thing you know, BlackRock's moving in.
Why would this be about white? You know, about whiteness. You know, and why would we use the school districting to do this? Like that, there's nothing like that has ever happened in Houston, first of all, or Texas for that matter. Okay, and we definitely don't start attacking this through education.
So as a quasi-educational podcast, like, are y'all still allowed to talk about this? Isn't this critical race theory?
No, we call it the critical race train, and that we sponsor
we're good then.
with football teams.
Yeah, okay.
You know?
God, please.
Critical race cowboys.
I don't give a shit. I don't give a shit if the side of every train is just a jumbotron that has NFL replays happening on it 24/7. Please, someone convince the NFL commissioner to just build their own fucking train system in the United States.
Literally, all you would have to explain would be like, listen, Raj, Raj,
Raj.
our dog, my boy.
Raj?
R-A-J?
Raj? Uh-huh.
You can either pay your players more or build this high-speed train.
Think of how many children you could
we
buy.
Do need to invest in our nation's infrastructure. Absolutely. I think the owners would enjoy this nice tax break. I mean, giving back to the community that this would offer.
Roger,
guaranteed
don't you
loss
invest in the future for ourselves. And
I am terrified
the
that that's going to be
football in America.
No, you joke, Zach, but now I'm terrified because I'm now imagining those maps of the, what a national high-speed rail line would look like, but now it's just connecting football stadiums. Instead.
Do you want to hear an even worse, but perhaps more plausible alternate reality where this happens?
Please go.
Do you know how Elon Musk has been talking about moving to Texas?
I thought he did.
And Jeff Bezos, I thought, live here now.
Yeah. So you know how Elon Musk moved to Texas?
Yeah.
Oh shit, he did. Yeah. What's up?
Y'all remember the Hyperloop?
Oh yeah. Oh, it's beautiful.
Hear me out. What if he gets into trains?
I will argue that I think that the NFL is
Tesla
such a
trains.
well-oiled machine, and it's owned by Disney. There's no way they would let Elon Musk be within any reachable distance to anything that could touch them. I think
I hate to bring
Disney
you,
is the
Zach.
only thing.
Disney doesn't own the NFL. The NFL has stood its ground. They have a partnership deal with ABC and ESPN to air its games, but they have no ownership stake in the NFL.
Okay, but they have distribution rights, and that's how Disney gets everybody.
But
that's
with
how
the NFL,
Disney runs everything, is with the distro rights.
I mean, y'all think that, but just wait, because guess what? Daddy Amazon now owns Thursday Night Football, everyone. Cashing in on that sweet, sweet Bezos cash.
You can only watch it on Prime Video.
It really sucks, but also, I watched, you know what? Never mind. Let's talk about voicemails.
I'm sorry I cursed you with this terrible reality.
We are already circling the drain of NFL. It's on the brain matter.
2 weeks, y'all. It's fine. We're
gonna be recording. We will have our cameras on every week after then, and we will be wearing our jerseys that we paid way too much for. Okay, mine has my name on the back and the number 69. Thank you.
Mine says Hyperloop on the back. And Second Baptist Church.
Got a voicemail. People are calling us. People want to talk to us.
It's not a voicemail, Zach. Someone texted us a paragraph.
Oh, hell yeah.
It's truly a wonderful thing. I'm going to go ahead and read this, and then we can answer this here. So it goes, "Hello, my name is Andre, and I just recently started following you guys. Thank you, Andre. It really means a lot. I also am a pretty new leftist." Okay, cool. Welcome to the club. It's really cool. Can't wait to have us all cancel each other. Was a conservative for a long time until I learned what my country, the U.S., truly represents, and it changed me completely. All right, cool. Welcome to the world of being awake, as the pastor will say. Dr. Ed Young will try to get you into. My question is, though, how is capitalism supposed to end? I know it's debated whether we're in late-stage capitalism. I believe we are, though I'm no economist or theorist. I believe it... economist, but whatever. But when it gradually collapses on itself, what happens? Do we usher in the socialist policies gradually, or a revolution? I don't think a revolution is possible at all. What do you think is going to happen? Again, thank you, Andre. Very important question here. Not technically a theory question, because I get to make Mad Max jokes. So that works. That works. And it's not asking us about whether or not we think we're going to be having polycules in the post-capitalist world. So it's not an overly personal question. So Artemis thanks you as well on her behalf. I just want to say that.
This is Artemis slander while she's gone. Get it in, folks. Get it in. Get it, better out than in. Yeah. Interesting question. I appreciate that we are just the theory podcast. I think it's definitely these are some of the questions that you're going to be asking as you're exploring what you believe about what you believe about how societies work and how people will respond to crises. And
Mm-hmm.
I think you're right in that we are in late stage capitalism, and we're going to be, experiencing like the same ups and downs that Gen X experienced. Gen Z is going to experience the same kind of like, oh God, everything's really bad that we experienced when we were, in high school. And then now it's gotten worse, but not at the speed that we maybe thought it was going to get that bad with. And I'm going to steal from what I absolutely know Rachel is going to say and just say that there's not going to be like a breaking point where everything is suddenly bad enough for there to be revolution. We're just going to slowly get squeezed. We're going to get squozen by by economic policy, by the cost of living, by wages not rising to meet that cost of living, until the only thing that we have is communities that are supporting each other, with whatever that sort of mutual aid looks like in those individual communities. There's not going to be like socialist policies handed down from the Texas legislature. There's going to be, unionizing that we see happening. There's going to be people feeding each other and working together. And hopefully, in my mind, communes become a lot more common, and we see a lot more like self-sustaining communities that are fighting the effects of climate change as soon as, energy is cheap enough for us again, and people realize that we can literally grow our own food in the state. Like all the fantasy that conservatives have around like how self-sustaining Texas needs to be, and none of the weird racism that usually accompanies it.
What? No. We need to keep the racism alive and well.
Sorry, with extra racism. Yes.
There we go. Okay, thank you.
Okay, all right.
Like socialism,
you
but like nationalist socialism,
Yeah. It needs to be a national program where it's not really socialist.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's a wonderful answer, Zach. I also think that's pretty all-encompassing.
Awesome. No other answers needed. Thank you. I have passed the test.
I do want to say,
Rachel, please, add the input.
So, like, getting a nod for that spiel is delightful for me because it's very nice to be associated with those ideas. Adding to what you said, I would just say the things you're doing now are what you're going to be doing. What's happening in Jackson, Mississippi right now is capitalism failing. That's what that looks like, and, especially in the South, where we have this entrenched colonial power system that has been here since fucking 1607 in the England Company. We have had these kinds of horrific class disparities, and we've had these kinds of horrific abuses of working people and the people who, run the economy. And so none of this is new, right? This isn't something that we're not already doing, that we haven't been doing forever down here. Like it is something that I would actually argue Southerners are better prepared to do than Northerners. Just like we have a default collectivist culture in a way that like the North doesn't. In spite of our sort of individualist rhetoric, we actually have a really strong sense of responsibility towards each other down here.
We dress it up in weird ways, but
yeah. A lot of it runs through the church, which is itself problematic as a power structure, right? But I think we can start making like secular church equivalents. And that's
killing all the Catholics. I agree.
Yes. Well, we just have to run a lot more active shooter drills, and eventually good guys with guns will show up.
That's how we handled the police issue too. I think, after the revolution.
Oh,
all
also,
the good guys with guns.
If y'all will indulge me referencing a podcast that is not this one and not even associated with me yet, I'm going to befriend these guys. So help me God. There's a podcast called Seriously Wrong. That's SRSLY Wrong. And they talk so much about what life after capitalism could look like, and also things we can do like right now to move ourselves towards that sort of post-capitalist utopian vision. And I cannot recommend them enough. They're so positive. They're really funny. Like it has felt like a breath of fresh air, like finding that kind of podcast. So if that's what you're looking for, definitely check them out.
Oh yeah.
Yes.
I'm glad someone is ready to be the idea, guys.
I love them for it. Like
I will simply be farming the land and maximizing my XP inside the commune.
I'm too busy trying to give football players CRT. So that's my vision. That's my job.
Kelton is in charge of.
Happens.
What I'm hearing is Kelton is in charge of the PE program. And then
the irony,
the packing program, if you will.
It's me saying, don't make my decisions, for the love of God. Don't be like me.
Because you're packing their brains full of knowledge.
Oh, hell yeah.
Brains swollen with knowledge fluid. That's what's occurring. I mean, the only thing I kind of would want to add on to it is very much in line step with what y'all are talking about how everything is happening all around you. You know, what the thing specifically I wanted to mention was when we started doing this podcast, like fucking 3 years ago at this point,
time isn't real.
Yeah. Like it feels weird to say, especially because, we were younger then. And so I like to say like, oh, we were more optimistic, etc. But we have been tracking off and on in real time the decline of things, and so like we are seeing more and more stories about how infrastructure is failing due to the climate changing in some way. If only like there was a term for that, and how like these previously held infallible institutions are failing the communities and the citizenry around them consistently enough to where then it's no longer surprising when it happens. Like we are charting this. And so I would just say right now to Andre, just please pay attention to everything around you. Don't accept things as being status quo, because things are going to continue to decline in certain aspects. Like there might be better 2-day drop shipping available to you, but also maybe your house is going to be introduced into a floodplain or something like that. Like the negatives are going to constantly outweigh the positives.
That's true. That's too true. Like, especially now that I feel like I changed careers as we started the podcast, and like I'm in a way better place now. But like, just because I'm in a better place where I'm not like as squeezed by, say, like a service industry experience, or as squeezed by like a shitty boss, like it doesn't mean that the world around me hasn't declined in some way. Like I still have to feel good about small victories. We still have to feel good about small victories. I mean, I'm white. I'm probably gonna be able to keep up with inflation.
We're going to be just fine. Like the issue cannot be measured by whether or not we are going to feel oppressed.
Exactly.
In some way.
Exactly. Like I'm. It's gonna. But we've gone from talking about bridges failing to like water systems failing, entire cities' water systems failing. Like there is a measurable difference there.
Yeah. You know what's funny though? Like, statistically speaking, like anthropologically speaking, when crises like this happen, when horrific things happen, the vast majority of people immediately drop everything and start helping each other. Really,
and
the only people who
the
panic,
podcasters.
Yeah, the only people who panic are the ones who feel like they're supposed to be in charge, actually, which is the most interesting aspect of this. Like, when shit properly hits the fan, the rising tide will be the fucking proletariat. Like, it's gonna be okay. It's gonna be bad in certain places for a while.
Rachel says, looking at us, some of you may not make it.
Some of you will be fed to the teams of cattle that we will be using to pull the bullet train between Houston and Dallas. But,
that's a sacrifice.
Overall we'll be okay for your sacrifice. Yeah.
Yeah. I think that's a good line. I think also the idea of saying to billionaires that we will let you keep your money as long as our infrastructure exists, but the second it starts failing, we start doing firing squads is a very interesting motivation as well. Who knows? Who knows? First, they came for my football team. Then they came for my company. Now they come for me.
God, we're going to end up with Hunger Games future.
No. They had high-speed railways in the Hunger Games. So we're not gonna
Touche. We could never.
Functional transport on the outside.
Yeah,
the
we
Hunger
could fucking
Games
never.
could not exist with bumper-to-bumper traffic.
To be fair, they were also like clearly very balkanized at that point, which I do think is going to happen in the States, for the record. There's not going to be a United States in 100 years. There's going to be a series of smaller countries where the United States used to be. That's like
it's
inevitable.
Called Big 12, Big 10, Pac-12. I know how this works. Absolutely.
Definitely.
The undying loyalty to all hail the SEC empire.
Honestly, that's as good a guess as any.
Yeah. The only thing that was unrealistic was that they were using like the gladiatorial fights as patriotic expression for your country,
and not just like reality TV.
Exactly. Yeah, not just reality TV where it's actually like staged. Like
this idea that you would have to force people to do this.
Yeah. It's much more likely to be like WWE or whatever fucking Survivor show ends up airing.
Yeah.
If you win, you get your student loans forgiven.
But Biden said that he would. So where's the motivation, huh?
Yeah,
no one's going to have the heart to want to do it anymore because they took out $10K, a meaningless, just limp-wristed hand job of a gesture towards getting rid of student loans. Good. I appreciate it. If anyone wants to listen to more PDG, we have Patreon weekly bonus episodes that are coming out. If you want to support us, but not enough to actually give us money, that's fine. Again, keeps us humble. Just rate us 5 stars on iTunes and Spotify. Always good. You know where to find us, but where can people find you, Rachel?
So I am back on Twitter. God help me. At Rachel is Online. And I've been taking a break from podcasting for a while, working on my like local secular church plan, which so far is going really fucking well, actually. So if you're in Atlanta and you like the things that I say when I'm being serious about how to make things less worse, you should check out ATL Mosaic or atlantamosaic.org. Mosaicatlanta.org. It's my baby. It's mine and a lot of people's baby, but it's like also my baby. I'm really fucking proud of the work we're doing. We do weekly Twitter spaces, which is kind of podcasty, I guess, if that's what you're into. We also have my friend snoring in the background. Let me shake him real quick and get back into the spiel. So we do weekly Twitter spaces. We also do weekly support circles, which are kind of like just it's not legally group therapy, but if you want to come talk about your problems with people who get it and have good coping skills, you're welcome to join us. We also are doing some really cool poly-ed stuff. We did like a self-managed abortion training recently. And then we did a training on how to give self-managed abortion trainings, just like all kinds of cool shit like that. We do like immediate community mutual aid work. It's fun. It's good. It like actually makes me feel less worse about things. I highly recommend if you're feeling really fucking dismal, go to a food pantry and just give some families some food for the week and you will feel better. It helps. So yeah, that's my thing. Mosaic Atlanta.
Hell yeah.
You're giving people like real tangible advice when we're saying that they could just give us a couple dollars online. This is not going to help our cause. It's going to be like, listen, I was going to give y'all $5 this month, but I decided to spend it on a food pantry. How are we supposed to be the assholes in that situation?
Listen,
Rachel?
the fun thing is you don't even have to join Mosaic to access our resources, but if you do, we have free memberships. so you can
hide things behind the paywall. Oh
no,
God.
we don't paywall our shit. I know, we're like communist or something. Ew.
Do you at least have like registration cards that you mail out to people, and then occasionally your registration list like gets doxed and then spread out, so that way then you have to like email lists of people and apologize for it?
Absolutely not. Actually, our team includes cybersecurity people.
I thought y'all were like the Socialist Rifle Association.
Listen, SRAs, there's a lot of really good people in SRA. I'm not going to talk smack, but I know that they are working some stuff out after having grown a lot very quickly, and I know that's really hard. So solidarity and sympathy to the SRA people.
Absolutely.
We do have merch.
Oh, merch. That's
good. We've got cool shirts.
Finally, something we can all agree on.
It's got a cool, stylistic, New American or Americana, whatever the fucking tattoo style is. It's like that tattoo style that's like Sailor Jerry-esque, but it's a peach.
Oh, perfect. Perfect. I like it.
Mm-hmm.
I like it. All right. Bye, everyone.
See y'all later.
Bye.
Amarillo by morning. Up